A storm is coming, inflation is rising, and the public is unprepared. What will be your fate? Today, we are going to look at the economic conditions that are important to you. The first thing I want to look at is the deep freeze. We could see weather conditions and patterns forming that are not good for the prices of goods that you have to buy. The second thing I want to talk about is sky high. Directly interconnected, we are going to watch what has happened over the last little while in regards to the inflationary pressures people are feeling. The third thing is the energy change. What's been going on? We'll talk about solar energy, who's got the most. I've got all of that and more. Let's begin. I wanted to begin by taking a look at this article out of Reuters. Exclusive, China Reserve Bureau working on crude oil release. You have heard about the potential, I've covered this recently, for the strategic petroleum reserves to be released in the United States, and then the reports that we're not going to do this. This is not what these reserves are for. In China, might be a different situation. China's State Reserve Bureau said on Thursday it is working on a release of crude oil reserves, although it declined to comment on the U.S. request to the world's top consuming nations to tap stockpiles to ease global energy prices. No, they're not related apparently, but let's see what they said. We are carrying out the work of releasing crude oil reserves, and for any details related to the releasing, we'll put a statement on our website, so this information will be public, and if it's relevant, I'm going to bring it to you. China, the world's biggest oil importer, rolled out its first public auction of state crude oil reserves to a select group of domestic refiners in September, aiming to stabilize the energy prices. And right now, at this time, crude oil has been fluctuating and chopping around the range of $80 a barrel in the United States. The release involved around 7.3 million barrels of crude oil. China has its own plan for the strategic petroleum reserves. We expect the second release volume should be similar to the first one. We will see if this has any impact. But as of right now, things are crazy. And this is because of weather, it's because of supply chain, it's because of the inflation that has been going on the fiscal and monetary side. But I wanted to show you what's going on specifically with the weather. Some people have told me do not talk about weather. However, I don't know how you can ignore it when it's so important. Major delays. You could see this right here, just showing you where we are going to get hit. Looks like the Northeast is going to get the brunt of it, as well as you can see below average, generally on the eastern side, okay? It will be above average. You could look at that in the southwestern side of the West Coast. I think it's important to note all this because it's going to affect you. Now, even Vancouver has experienced some serious weather conditions. This was brought to me by subscribers. I've seen the messages you have sent. Vancouver is cut off by road and rail after extraordinary storms. BC declares state of emergency. Panic buying in some stores. You do not need 48 eggs. So the government wants to tell you what you can and cannot buy. This is why you should be prepared in advance. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Storms at Canada's biggest port leave grain stuck in the prairies. Flooding has blocked rail access to the port of Vancouver. Grain companies look at declaring force majeure amid delays. Think about how fragile the system was last month, a year ago, even before this. And now today, you have weather events that are disrupting it even further. The most important factor here, prices are going to be affected, and not in a positive way. They're going to go up. And that's why I say be prepared in advance, because if you already have these things ready to go, you're going to be better off. Yes, you might still need certain things, but if you've taken care of a few in advance, you're going to be in a better situation, probably better than most of your neighbors. Thanksgiving dinner will cost 14% more this year, according to this annual survey. And that's important as well, not just because of Thanksgiving, but it's a measurement of year over year over year. And they take those products and they say, well, okay, what are we going to have to pay this time around? And then we have this one. 88% of Americans are worried about inflation. Here's what they're planning on cutting back on. Now think about it for just a second. 88%. It's a survey. It's not really 88% of Americans, but it gives you a kind of a broad idea of what's been going on. And of course, they are worried about inflation, as I have indicated, not just for the United States, but Canada, Australia, and basically everywhere else, that if people are pushed just a little bit further in the amount of money that they pay, for their daily expenses, they're going to be pushed off the edge. And that is a simple matter of fact. I've seen statistics all over the board. $200, $300, $400 a month, additional cost, and they cannot afford it. Literally going into debt every single month just to pay the bills. What are they cutting back on? Eating out and upgrading their technology devices. This being a very serious thing for a company like Apple, which relies on that cycle of yearly updates. And that's why they've shifted over to services and now apparently are developing a car, but that's all on the hush hush. Let's break it down here in the Money GPS Insights. Stimulus and the economic headwinds have pushed prices of basically everything up. At the same time, weather events have created major disruptions. My message to you is quite simple. Make your preparations today, not tomorrow. You need your food, you need your energy situation, and of course, having a plan all in order as soon as possible. I had covered this issue because it is directly connected with the food prices and everything else. John Deere, they were striking. They have now actually created this contract, 6-year agreement. Hopefully this will be positive. There was a big disruption there, but let's get everybody back to work and let's get things back up and running. CVS to close about 900 stores over the next 3 years as it shifts to the digital strategy. This is what's going on everywhere. Store closures are just a very common element. It's going to continue. There will be less retail needed. You could argue there was too much in the first place. The question is, what replaces it? Amazon stores can't open everywhere, but certainly that is happening to some degree. I just think that the amount of retail that was built was probably way too much, and now you've got a lot of empties, and that's continuing. It's not as if, all right, we're closing up shop, we're just going to leave thousands of stores empty. These things take time for the business decisions to move through, and in the meantime, you've got problems for the derivatives that are connected to commercial mortgage-backed securities and everything else. So much going on, all right? Starbucks and Amazon open cashierless store in Manhattan. So that middle ground is simply eliminate the human beings that work in the store, and you could still have some stores that people need to walk into, grab a coffee, and other things that you can't do necessarily without having a physical location. Then I wanted to show you this. You've seen what's happening with real estate, what's happening with rents and everything. Everything's going up. In Germany, it's common for apartments to come with just the bare bones, oftentimes without appliances or even kitchen cabinets. So it's not unusual for tenants to sell their belongings to the next occupant. By the way, if you are in Germany, let me know, is this a real thing? Is this actually the case? Look at this. One ad recently asked 25,000 euros upfront for a kitchen equipment, TV, furniture, including a couch, bed, garden furniture, and other items. This just shows you how hot this market has become. I mean, it's off the charts. And that is showing us what a wild and crazy environment we are living through. You've heard of the Great Resignation, but even the CEOs are part of this. CEO turnover spiked in the first half of 2021 as companies tapped new talent to navigate the aftermath, and stressed out chief executives sought a career change, a study from recruiting firm found. Now they're just showing you essentially they're getting tired, they're getting all this, and they're resigning. There's a lot more going on, I personally think, and want to know what you think. Do you think CEOs resigning has something to do with what's going on behind the scenes? Or is it just like everybody else? Let me know in the comment section. And then to talk about this, solar panels, solar energy. Take a look. Now we're looking at this right here. Links will be in the description as always. Solar panel by country in 2021. If you could see this right now, Europe, you got Asia as well, but overwhelmingly, China is the #1 in solar. 254,000 megawatts. Germany, 53,000. Japan, 67,000. And the US at 75,000. Now, I don't know the exact date of when because I was told that the US actually crossed the 100,000. Regardless, just to give you a general idea of what's been happening here with solar energy, this is one energy taken off. And the reason I mention this to you, #1 is if you live in an area where it makes sense to get solar, you look into the numbers, you've done your research, this might be a wise idea. There might be tax rebates and so on that you can get as well. This also reminds me to tell you that as an investor, look at the different green energy that's becoming so apparent, so obvious out there, where the money, literally trillions of dollars, is being thrown into green energy from governments. They're all going in this direction. So keep that in mind. And then a little bit of insanity. Salad chain Sweetgreen attains a $6 billion value in debut. Shares end the day up 77% after earlier doubling from the IPO. Salad, guys, salad. Do I need to say this again? I mean, if it's crazy, hit that thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't think it's crazy. I don't know. But anyway, I just think it's so odd. I think the circumstances are unusual, and that's it, okay? If you want to support this channel, it's pretty easy. Just hit that thumbs up button. When you do so, it basically notifies all the other individuals out there who have never heard of the Money GPS to be part of this. They'll get notified. It will come up in their feed and their suggestions, and I do appreciate that very much. If you haven't seen this video yet, you definitely want to check it out. Click it, and I'll see you there.